residential tech talk, lighting specialist, residential tech.
Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. On this week's podcast, Jason Griffing joins us from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where he is Director of Product for OneVision Resources, the remote support and RMR provider to custom integrators. Jason is responsible for overseeing the development and strategic direction of the company's service platform, serving as OneVision's voice of the customer, advancing their product roadmap and R&D initiatives. Prior to joining OneVision in 2017, Jason spent a decade as a residential integrator, doing everything from pulling wire in dusty attics and wiring racks to project management and operations. He's on the podcast today to tell us about several new initiatives, including OneVision's Flex support packages launched back in August that were designed to make it easier to get started with remote support and recurring monthly revenue solutions, and ProVision Signal, a dedicated on-call management solution designed to make it easier for integrators to build a robust incident response plan that ensures clients get the level of service they need from their technology issues 24/7, 365. Jason Griffing, welcome back to Residential Tech Talks. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you too. It's been a while. And we're recording this on April 9th, which is the day after Solar Eclipse Day. Here in Carmel, Indiana, we were on the path of totality, which was pretty amazing. I had a huge neighborhood party going on outside my window while I was trying to work, and I finally went out and joined everyone, and we saw it get completely pitch black outside, which was something you just don't know how cool it is until it happens. What was your experience in Colorado like yesterday?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm very envious of you. My sister actually lives in Indianapolis, and my parents went out there and they were there. So they went out to the motor speedway there and took in the event out there. So I saw pictures and videos of all that, and that looks like a really, really kind of once in a lifetime type of experience. So I'm hoping to get to experience that someday. We had about 65% blockage here in my area, and so I'm lucky. I work from home full time and had the flexibility to just head out in the backyard. We bought some of the glasses like everyone else, and went out there and watched it kind of progress. And really, really neat event. Very, very cool thing to see, and it just feel like it helps put things in perspective, right? It gives you a different sort of sense of perspective of things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. To see something that significant happen, it was really a pretty moving experience for me.
Yeah, that's a really, really great way to put it. And it's funny you say that about putting things in perspective, because I just got back from a family vacation, our last spring break together, as my daughter is a senior in high school and probably won't connect on the same vacations for a while, but we were out at sea on a cruise, and one day we were all there looking out together out off the vast ocean, and I said, "Really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. And they're all jaded and cynical, but I was like,
yeah,
I just wanted to see what everybody said, but it kind of does.
It's easy to kind of roll your eyes at statements like that, but there's something very true about that. And having those moments where you just kind of stop and take it in are too few and far between, unfortunately, for most of us. And yesterday was definitely one of those moments for me.
Yeah, and it's also a really connecting moment too. I went from, I don't know how many people are really aware this is happening in different parts of the country, because we're on the totality. We've been hearing about it for a year, and they adjusted the school schedule to not have school that day, and really changed their whole spring break schedule because of it. But all of a sudden, if Facebook's any indication, or your little news feed, you're seeing it everywhere, and we're all posting about it. So it's just great to kind of have like a common thread too, and a positive one, not a tragedy or something to bring us together.
Good point. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, so when you and I connected, I kept seeing announcements from your company, and I realized it's been a while since we've spoken, and I really haven't been as up to speed on everything as I should be. So when we connected and talked about what we might speak on today, you said that it really starts with the Flex support packages, and how this is such a big change in the way that OneVision makes it possible for a company to get started as an integrator with OneVision. So can you kind of give us the idea behind what is so different about it from what has been done before from the company in the way
Yeah.
that you provide service?
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. So I'll start with a little bit of background, and I won't bore everyone with an extensive history lesson here. But OneVision's been around for I think about 8 years or so, providing service and RMR solutions for integrators, and we've been at this for a while. And over those years, we've developed a very comprehensive approach to tackling this problem. It's much more than just a call center. There's certainly, I'm assuming, an appreciable number of integrators out there who are only notionally familiar with OneVision, if at all. And the big thing that most people know about, if they know anything, is that we provide remote support, white label remote support offering, which is the core of our offering. We love doing that, and we put a ton of effort into providing that every day. But it is just one piece of many things that we do. So we've built this kind of comprehensive approach that includes that white label support offering. It includes some software that we wrap around that to help with service operations. It includes a whole bunch of stuff related to generating recurring revenue and managing those subscriptions, et cetera. So we built all this up over the years. And ultimately, what we realized at the beginning of 2023 is when we started really digging into this research. Is we went out, we talked to our customers, we got a lot of feedback, and amongst that feedback, what we heard was, hey, we love the comprehensive support that you guys are taking to helping us solve the service problem, but it'd be great if it was a little more flexible. Everything is very one size fits all today, and it's a big offering. And maybe I'm talking at that time to a customer that's been on the OneVision platform for 3, 4, 5 years or more, and at that point they're pretty operationally mature with respect to service, and maybe some of the things that we're providing aren't as needed as they were when that integrator first came on to the platform, right? So we ran into a lot of different versions of that story, and ultimately it led us to realize that we had a great offering that we could break down into smaller pieces, sort of a tiered offering. I don't even like to call it good, better, best, because honestly, the best version of these offerings is really just contingent on what the integrator is looking for and what they need from us. But ultimately, it is kind of a gold, silver, bronze, or tiered type of offering where integrators are able to pick from a menu of different flex support packages, as we call them. And as you alluded to, the goal of this initiative was really to make it a lot easier for integrators to get started with us. We believe very deeply that coming to grips with the service challenge inside of an integration business is one of the most important things you can do as an integration company. And we wanted to, I guess, in a sense, democratize our solutions a little bit more and make them available to a broader swath of the industry. So we structured them in these good, better, best, or tiered packages, like I said. And then we also changed some things fundamentally about our pricing structure. So in that initiative, that research project that I mentioned at the beginning of 2023, which, by the way, we called our Voice of the Partner program. It was a big undertaking to go out and gather a bunch of this feedback. One of the other things we heard was that they wanted a little bit more simplicity in the pricing model. So without getting too mired in the weeds there, we just reworked some of the ways that we price things to make it really a lot easier to get started with the platform, to kind of lower those upfront costs, and also to make it easier to go your separate ways. If for any reason we're not delivering the amount of value that we believe we can and that we consistently do, but if that's not working for an integrator at any point, we wanted to make it easier for them to wind things down and go their separate ways. So really just reducing the risk. We're very, very confident in the solutions that we provide, and we believe that if we can make it easy for integrators, easy and low risk for integrators to get started with us, then they're going to stick around.
So I guess we could walk through, not to make this a big sales pitch for the packages, but I think it would be helpful to know what the different tiers actually do offer. So maybe start us off with the base support package and what's included there, and then how you kind of step everyone through the different layers.
Yeah, absolutely. So at a high level, you alluded to the base package. That's our kind of most simplified offering, I would say. And ultimately, that one is really focused on providing support for paying members. And in a nutshell, that's what it's all about. It does include some software as well. I'll come back to that in a minute. But at the core, it's really about us providing that infrastructure, an extra layer of support, so that your team as an integrator can get their nights and weekends back, can focus a little bit more on projects instead of getting pulled into service fire drills all the time. And so ultimately it is a support only offering. It does not include any of our recurring revenue stuff, which I'll get to when I talk about growth and accelerate. Really the main group of integrators that we have seen gravitating towards that base support package are integrators who come to us and say, you know what, I've already got a recurring revenue program in place. I'm having great results selling these memberships to my clients. I've got all the payment processing and subscription management side of things figured out. But where I'm really struggling is just keeping up with the demand for support. My team is constantly on call. They're burning out. They're constantly getting distracted from other project work and things like that in the company. And I really just need help providing that great support to our clients. And that's where our base support package is a perfect fit. So again, it's a 24/7, 365 white label support for clients. White label is a big component of that, as it is with all of our flex support packages. So we go to great lengths to make sure that OneVision as a company remains completely invisible to clients. We don't want clients to know that we exist. We like it that way. And so ultimately everything we do is white label, from the way we pick up the phones to the emails that we send. All of that is done as an extension of the integrator's brand name. And that's really our base support package in a nutshell. It's that support. And then the software that we wrap around that is a shared ticketing environment, primarily, is the biggest thing that we're talking about here, and a system for integrators to enter their clients into our ecosystem, so to speak. So ultimately, when they sell a new project, we provide a software interface for them to go enter that client name, phone number, email address, system documentation, site photos, all of that type of stuff, so that when that client calls in, we have full visibility into all of their service history and site documentation and things of that nature. So really, that's our base support package in a nutshell.
Can I ask you real quick about that? I just wanted, it blows my mind how these ticket support systems can work and be white label, and you can identify the client and, present to them as the integrator essentially. But what is sort of like the phone answering, protocol for you as a company if you're doing a phone call situation as opposed to online ticket of some sort? How do you answer the phone? Do you literally answer as the integrator, or do you have like a generic thing that you use?
Yeah, no, we answer as the integrator. So we have built out all of our systems on the back end to identify basically when a phone call is coming in. We can easily pick up basically the number that the client dialed. I think it's called the DNIS or something, the dialed name identification system. That's a common contact center concept. Okay. And basically what we're talking about there is just the ability to tell what number was dialed, and by triggering off of that number, we can identify which partner, which integrator this call is coming in from. So we're able to identify that on 100% of our inbound contacts. And when we answer the phone, it's not, hey, this is Jason Griffing with OneVision or anything like that. It's, hey, this is Jason with, Bob's Home Tech. How can I help you? Right? It's always done in the integrator's name. And again, that's the result of a lot of years of investment and figuring out all of the systems that are needed to make sure that we're preserving that white label experience at every step. It's not always inbound calls. So sometimes we have to make an outbound call to a client, and we've actually engineered our systems such that when we pick up the phone and call out to that client, we are able to spoof the integrator's caller ID. So when the client's phone rings, they're not seeing some random number that they've never heard from before. They're actually able to see the integrator's office phone number on their caller ID. Again, all part of that really seamless white label experience that we want to provide.
Oh, that's really cool stuff. So you move on then to growth and accelerate packages, which are more about selling the RMR and managing that, I guess. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So the growth and accelerate packages, as you alluded to, are where we start to layer in some of those additional supports for the generation and management of recurring revenue, where our base package, again, is a support and software only offering. Our growth and accelerate packages really are designed to help integrators achieve their goals with recurring revenue. So the growth package, I like to describe it as kind of a nuts and bolts or infrastructure and tooling offering. We're going to provide everything on that package that an integrator needs to get that recurring revenue engine up and running. So that includes a really nice online portal where clients can go view their memberships and sign up for a plan. We're continually investing in that portal. It's a super nice part of our platform that we get a lot of great feedback on today. And we're continually investing in that and making it more powerful and more flexible for integrators. So clients get this portal that they can go view and sign up for a plan. They can securely enter their credit card. Our platform is going to process that payment. Once again, all of that is done white label. So if a client enters, or I shouldn't say if, when a client enters their credit card in that payment portal, when their monthly credit card statement comes the next month, it's not going to say OneVision on it. It's going to say the integrator's name. Again, everything is done as an extension of the integrator's brand. So we do all of that payment processing. We have support for both monthly and annual plans as part of that. So clients have a little toggle that they can choose between those two different plans. And we also provide, again, all of the ongoing subscription management. So there's a lot of things when you start peeling back the onion of building a recurring revenue program. There's a lot of little details that aren't immediately obvious of things you need to figure out, like how are you going to handle it when a client's credit card payment fails? How are you going to handle prorated charges on upgrades, downgrades, cancellations? All of that stuff is fully baked into our growth platform and 100% turnkey for the integrator. When you jump up to our Accelerate package, as the name implies, the Accelerate package is really designed to help integrators turbocharge their success with recurring revenue. So in addition to all of the tooling and infrastructure that we provide on that growth package, we're also layering in additional marketing and sales support. So there's a couple of elements of that. The biggest one that integrators really gravitate towards is what we call our member services team, or sometimes called our membership sales team as well. We kind of use those terms interchangeably. Ultimately, this team works in a very similar fashion to our support team. So they become an extension of the integrator's company. They work, again, in the integrator's brand name. But basically what they act as is an extension of the sales team who focuses on generating recurring revenue. So I was a former integrator, as you said in the intro. I worked at a couple of different companies where we tried to get recurring revenue programs up and running in-house without the help of a company like OneVision. And what I found invariably was, I'd be able to identify a client. Like, here's Bob, the client. I know he's prime for this $150 a month membership. And I know if I could just spend 15 or 20 minutes selling him on it, that he would buy it. But in my day-to-day reality, like, I have to choose between whether my attention goes to that or it goes to closing this $100,000 project proposal that I'm working on. And in the battle for my attention, you can easily guess which one was continually winning. So there was ultimately a lot of money being left on the table just simply by virtue of the fact that sales teams at integration companies often don't have the time to go have these conversations and close these deals with clients. So as part of our Accelerate package, they're able to lob those deals over the fence to us and say, hey, here's this client. He's primed for a priority membership. Here's a few notes. Go get him, right? And we'll go get that client on a call and go close that deal on their behalf. In addition to that, there's some additional like automated marketing and email support layered into that Accelerate package. But I'm glossing over a little bit of detail there, but that gives you the broad strokes of what those three packages really entail.
Yeah, and in that use case, you're really kind of alluding to someone going back in, or a company going back into their current client base, right? There would also be that added layer of finishing as you're doing the proposal, adding that into as a layer of the proposal, correct? Is that part of this as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have set me up any better there. Honestly, okay. The automated email marketing that I kind of glossed over there just a second ago is really aimed squarely at that. So one of our core beliefs here at OneVision is that once you're on the platform as an integrator, that really every single project that you sell from that day forward is a golden opportunity to generate more recurring revenue. Now, that's not to necessarily say that every single client that you sell a project for is going to buy a membership. There are going to be clients who opt out. But the biggest thing that we believe in is that every single project that you sell from that day forward, the client should be required to make an explicit choice. So they can choose to opt into a membership or they can choose to opt out. The important thing is that they are an active participant in that decision. and that it's not being left for the project management team to sort out later when the client is surprised by the issues that are coming up as they're moving into their house or those sorts of things. So as part of the Accelerate package, we unlock access to a module called Provision Projects. Provision, by the way, is the name of our internal software that we use in conjunction with our partners. And Provision Projects is, like you said, it's a tool that integrators can go drop their projects in when they start a new proposal, when the proposal gets signed, when they complete a project, et cetera. There's a series of these milestones in what we call the new project lifecycle. And at every one of those milestones, an intelligent automated email is going out that takes into account a variety of variables, such as which membership did the client express interest in? Have they already signed the terms of service? Have they already entered their credit card, et cetera? And these emails are intelligent and curated to that client specific experience. And the goal of these, if I zoom back out, is really just to help facilitate that conversation, act as a supplemental layer to your sales team and your project management team, which we, by the way, help doing a lot of training with to help those teams kind of understand how to talk about memberships and things like that. But these emails are a really nice supplement to that, and they help remind the client that, hey, when this project is done, that is not the end of our relationship by any stretch. And when you're buying one of these technology systems, you should expect service and support. Here's what we do at our company to make sure you have a great experience. And here's what we need you to do, click on this button. And then when they click on that, it directs them to that portal that I talked about a minute ago where they can view and sign up for a plan.
Great. Yeah. So that sounds like you've got it pretty well covered, but then there's additional coverage in the Premier package. So I'm imagining that's like the best of all the worlds, but what is in there that maybe isn't part of the other options there?
Yeah. So our Premier package is really more of a almost an off menu option that we talk about with certain integrators. It's really the Premier. It's really the full version of our platform that we engineered, before we even came out with these flex offerings. So many of our existing partners are on that Premier version. That includes everything we've talked about, plus a whole bunch of additional coaching, consulting, support that goes into helping them structure the operation. So really, when you're on the Accelerate growth packages, those sorts of things, we're really focused on training your team on the fundamentals of creating a good service experience, and then on using the OneVision platform, right? And ultimately, that's enough for many integrators, but some are also interested in taking a look at their billing best practices, how they schedule, what systems they use for those sorts of things, kind of a deeper dive into the business. And with that Premier package, you've got unlimited access to basically a coach who comes in, acts as a personal trainer of sorts within your business to help you really dive deep down into the weeds, attend regular meetings with your team, really act as like a fractional director of service within your company. It also includes some additional like customized marketing offerings and things like that we'll do on the Premier package. So on the base growth and Accelerate, we do include some semi-templated marketing materials. Semi meaning you're, of course, able to modify things like colors or your company logo and things of that nature, but they're still fairly templated. When we get into the Premier package, one example I like to use is we had an integrator come to us and say, hey, I want to create a little refrigerator magnet that I can put on the refrigerator at my clients' homes that tells them about their membership plans and where they can call for support. And that is, of course, not something we had previously designed, but we were able to dig in and kind of figure out that design for them. So highly customized marketing services and things of that nature.
Yeah, you're like, for what you're paying us, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of that concierge level, type of experience.
Well, I guess that leads us into talking about another news item that came across my email, which was that back in the end of January, you became a ProSource partner again with the. You don't call them buying groups anymore, but basically a buying group. And I had not realized that you were not a member of ProSource for a bit there. This Flex package kind of enabled that to be a good option again, or how do those two kind of connect, or do they not connect at all?
Yeah, no, they definitely connect. So yeah, we were a member of ProSource for some time, and ultimately, that initial relationship ended, I would say, due to and look, these are things that we talk about openly. As
Hmm.
a company, we have not been perfect in the past. We've made mistakes, and we've structured things in ways that created subpar experiences for some of our customers. And some of the ways specifically that we had things structured on our old, pre-flex, in terms of our contract and exit clauses and things like that, we got a lot of feedback on those, frankly. And again, we're open about that. We made some mistakes there, and as a company, when we dug into these flex support packages, we really wanted to make sure that we went to great lengths to be the most integrator centric, flexible platform that we could possibly be. So our contract terms are excuse me, much more integrator friendly now. And in addition to that, the flexibility of the flex support packages, just really making it more, a lot easier for integrators to get started with the platform. And the underlying philosophy behind all of that, I think, is what really opened the door to revisiting with the ProSource team. And when Brad Camp, our director of business development, was able to go and initiate those conversations. Brad Camp is, by the way, longtime industry guy. Name may or may not be familiar to your listeners. He's been around for quite some time, and
Mm.
he's our director of business development now. Fantastic resource for the company and for the industry as a whole. And he went and approached ProSource and just let them know what we were doing to really transform our offerings and to be a more integrator centric company. And ultimately, when they saw the results of all of that in our flex support packages and heard the feedback from the market about the changes that we've made, they were eager to jump back into those conversations. So we're very excited to be re-entering that group. We think it's a great sign that we hope the industry will take notice of. In that ProSource was willing to give us a fresh look, and things are fundamentally different here. These flex support packages are not a cosmetic change. It was a massive undertaking for us to go figure out how to restructure and break our platform down into these smaller pieces. And in many respects, we're still figuring out how to operationalize all of that. So big puzzle. But we were earnest in our efforts to become a more integrator centric company. And I was privileged to really be a big part of that project, that Voice of the Partner program. And I also I'll take the opportunity here to give a huge shout out to, the group of our partners who leaned in and played a very active role in providing us that feedback and that direction as we worked to restructure the platform. So yeah, we saw that reentry to ProSource as a really nice, kind of milestone opportunity. Like at the beginning of our conversation, we talked about these moments where you stop and kind of take it all in. That was one for us, right? The reentry into ProSource was like one of those moments where we looked back and said, "Man, we've come a long ways as a company. We're proud of what we have accomplished, and deeply appreciative to the customers that have worked with us and stuck with us and provided us with the feedback that helped us, get to where we are now."
I'll have to say, when I was kind of thinking about reaching out to you and having this conversation, that one of the things that really inspired me, and you talk about transparency, was Joey Kolczynski, the founder and CEO of your company, posting something on LinkedIn, just kind of being humble, about the challenges and lessons learned and that type of thing, and kind of introducing maybe this or one of your other offerings. And I just thought that was just a really nice thing to see. I've always thought of him as a very confident person, and it didn't come off as not confident. It sounded just like, hey, we made mistakes and we're learning from them, and we're really excited to show you what we've learned. And that just personally went a long way.
Yeah.
Toward really kind of buying what you're going for here. And probably same for like Jim Pierce at ProSource, and what was some of the early feedback I'm imagining Brad Camp went to ProSource and maybe some of your other team members. You have a lot of one-on-ones and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And is it too early to assess what the dealers there in attendance had to say about it?
Yeah. Well, the feedback has been generally very, very positive. We're obviously very excited to say there's a lot of positive buzz about OneVision going on right now. Word is kind of getting out about the changes that we've made, and people are thankfully taking it seriously and giving us a fresh look. And we're very, very appreciative for that. And to address the Joey thing, I'm sure he'll listen to this podcast and he'll appreciate hearing that, and I'll pass it along to him. But I'll just underline it a little bit because I know a lot of your listeners may know Joey, may have interacted with him, and he really did at the beginning of this project in 2023 take a really hard look at some of the things that the company was doing, and ultimately learned a lot. I've known Joey now for 7 years. I consider him a friend, and ultimately was very, I'll say, impressed with the level of introspection and genuine personal growth that he's exhibited over the last year as we've grown as a company. So a lot of credit to him for that. Leaders out there who are listening will know that's a hard thing to do. When you've worked really hard at building something, and to go back and say, okay, we got to kind of unlearn a lot of the things that we've spent the last 5-6 years working on, and go back to, really think about this from first principles. And I think he did a great job at that. Ultimately, the feedback at ProSource was, again, very good. We've got actually a lot, I forget the exact number, but a lot of our current customers are ProSource members. So they were, of course, excited for us to re-enter the group. And generally, Brad came back from the event just saying that it was a ton of fun for him to be there. Brad was, I think, very involved in ProSource as an integrator, and so he was super excited to be able to get back into that group. It's a wonderful group of people, and ultimately, that group is, I think, a great opportunity for us to continue making inroads to help the industry come to grips with what, frankly, is a very vexing problem for a lot of integrators out there, to figure out this effective service strategy. So we're really, really excited about that partnership, and the early signs are that that excitement is well placed.
Yeah, you speak about the vexing challenge, and obviously it's played into the industry news with the announcement from the folks at SnapOne, who through the Control4 platform have done their own version of this with support programs, and it was met with a lot of questions and some enthusiasm, and obviously it was a very big role from the integrators in terms of the plan and pulling it together. As a industry journalist, I listened to their presentation, and it sounds very well thought out. And I talked to individual integrators, and I hear their concerns, and a lot of it's just changing the way they've done things before. But one of the big things, obviously, that came out, and there were responses from other companies as well, saying, well, we're never going to go direct to the customer, and that there's that little, like, it's I'm trying to think of the terminology, what the term would be, but it's one of those like reactionary issues where one company has done something, we won't name names, in the past, where they went direct to the client, and now everyone's kind of knee-jerk kind of reaction is, oh no, they're doing it again, this company is doing it too. You had a moment where you were able to sort of say, this is our world, we've got kind of a take on this. What was that take, and explain where your tenets kind of came from there?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I have a tremendous amount of respect for SnapOne and what they've accomplished as a company to date, and what they continue to do, I think, to elevate the industry. And I'm genuine when I say that we welcome the additional attention that's being put onto service and support. We really do believe that a rising tide raises all ships. And one of the great things about other companies coming in and providing this type of offering is the general awareness that it drives. We've at OneVision, we've been doing this for a while. We were, I don't use this term to be boastful, but we were like the pioneers of doing this. When OneVision started doing this, there wasn't Parasol, there certainly wasn't Control4 Assist. And so again, like that creates opportunity for companies when you're the first at doing something. It also creates a lot of work, because you got to educate a whole market about what your offering is. And it's been a real sort of shift for me personally. I do a lot of speaking with the industry and a lot of our communications, and to be able to say we provide a support and RMR platform, and be reasonably confident that people actually know what that is and what that means is a different experience than we've had before. So overall, like, come on in, the water's warm, right? And we're
Yeah.
happy to see the additional awareness. Ultimately, we did get a lot of questions from current customers, from prospects, from buyers reps that we work with, from friends and colleagues in the industry. Like our inboxes, mine was blowing up, Joey's was blowing up, Brad's, like a lot of us were receiving a lot of outreach and requests for comment on that announcement. And so ultimately, we did come out with a stance, but it was very deliberate in terms of focusing on, look, like ultimately a lot of people have reached out to us to comment on this. Here's our take is what we at OneVision believe is in a few sort of core tenets. First and foremost, the relationship between the integrator and their client is sacred, and we never want to come between that. And so that goes back to what I talked about with all of the white label that we do. We go to great lengths to make sure that OneVision is kind of abstracted away, that we're behind the scenes as far as the clients are concerned, and we believe that relationship between the integrator and their client is sacrosanct. We believe also in flexibility. So one of the things that we've learned along the way in terms of structuring and building our platform is that one size fits all is really one size fits no one. And ultimately, it is really important when you have a platform like this to provide flexibility. And this is a great moment to pause, by the way, and say that we weren't always like this, right? There may be listeners out there who hear this and say, that is not the OneVision I know. And to that, I would say, yeah, it's a new day here at OneVision. Come take a look now, because that's old OneVision. This is new OneVision, and they're very, very different. So there's a very high level of flexibility. Again, we had to learn that lesson the hard way, but we've internalized it, and that shows in our actions and our continual development of the platform. So providing integrators with flexibility in terms of how their memberships are presented to, how and when memberships are presented to clients, how are they priced, what features do they include, all those sorts of things are increasingly customizable on our platform. Some of them have always been customizable, some of them are getting there, some of them are coming soon, but that is a huge part of our ethos now. And so those are really the big ones, is to, again, make sure that there's flexibility, make sure that the relationship between the integrator and their client is held as sacred and never interfered with.
Yeah, I'd say like 7 years of experience and realizing that you need to make some changes is kind of should be a little bit of a warning light for those who are just getting into this, as much as they've put into it. I know it's been years in development for Snap, for instance, but there's always going to be things you didn't plan out and adjustments you're going to have to make. And that's probably the biggest lesson here is, maybe this isn't the final version of what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, and that actually segues into I realized I forgot to mention the third tenet. So there's the relationship between the client and the integrator, there's the flexibility, and then there's the, we also are big on integrators should never be locked in, right? And so ultimately, I've alluded to this earlier in our conversation, like we've made the platform a lot more flexible. If you ever do want to leave, you can take all of your data, all of that information with you, give us a 90-day notice, we'll wind things down. Again, we've made that very, very simple. And so ultimately, we believe that in addition to that, also flexibility and avoiding lock-in with respect to the type of equipment that you sell in your home. So we're brand agnostic, we're vendor agnostic. That's a term you'll see on our marketing materials frequently, on our website. And that's, again, something we hold as very important, is that our one and only goal as a company is to help integrators succeed with service. And so if you want to sell Savant, Control4, Crestron, URC, like whatever manufacturers and products you feel are right for your business and for your customers, you're able to sell those, and we'll be here to support them no matter what. So that was really our stance on it. And again, different strokes for different folks. And I think it's just one of those things where we're now officially at a place where if you're looking to bring in a third-party provider to help you with your service and RMR needs, there are now multiple options on the market. And we just encourage people to do something, to jump in and do your homework and make sure you understand, because based on the unique needs of your business, any one of those three offerings may be a good fit for you. We would just hope that you would include OneVision in that evaluation.
Well, we've talked a lot about all these packages, and Flex is, so seems so very comprehensive, the Flex support packages. And then there's this announcement that comes out, and it's about your ProVision Signal. And it's described as a dedicated on-call management solution. Now, how is this different than all the other things we've just talked about?
Yeah. So ultimately, on-call is one of those necessary evils to a successful support program. Clients, even if you're not doing an official sort of paid service program, any integrator out there knows that clients have issues, nights and weekends all the time. That's a lot frequently when they're using their systems. And ultimately, you have to have some sort of mechanism in place to make sure that those clients can get the support they need when they need it. Ultimately, the importance of that goes up exponentially the minute you start selling paid service plans, because frequently the core offering of those service plans is a guarantee to receive support often within some sort of guaranteed response time or service level agreement, as it's sometimes called. And so ultimately, an on-call management solution is really at its core about making sure that the right notifications can get to the right people at the right times. And as a former integrator, I worked at many companies where the on-call process was quite rudimentary. So there was a dedicated cell phone, for example, that was the on-call cell phone. And, it was like the hot potato that got passed around. And then when you were on call, you got to carry that around all weekend. Sometimes it was just a shared email inbox that people were responsible for checking. That has downsides as well, because it's not proactive in terms of notifying you often. You're sort of relying on people to be poking in there and checking periodically. Of course, you can turn on notifications, but anyways, a big problem with a lot of these systems is that they're rather unsophisticated in terms of how notifications get routed. So if a client reaches out for support, it's one thing if you're dealing with a client who's on your top tier paid membership, they're having a dinner party and the whole house audio system is not working. That's one thing. It's another if you've got a client who, let's just call a spade, because we all know they're out there, has been a total pain in your butt as a client, has refused all of your advice, value engineered all of the robustness out of their system, refused to go on a service program, doesn't want to pay the monthly fee, and is now calling you on Saturday because they can't get the Nest thermostat that they installed themselves to work with the Control4 system, right? Those are very different issues that it follows that you would want to, as an integration company, have some mechanism for dealing with those differently. The first one, you want somebody to get notified. The other one, he can wait until Monday, right? And so ultimately, the problem with a lot of on-call systems out there that integrators have pieced together is that they make no distinction between these types of issues. So if you're on call, your phone is ringing no matter which one of those two clients is calling in. And then it's left on you as the on-call technician to kind of sort through that, maybe manage expectations, make a subjective decision about what level of support to provide, et cetera. So those are all kind of problems and background and context. Ultimately, Signal is a solution that we built to solve for all of this. So it's got a really sophisticated, what I call a rules-based notification engine in it. So if I actually back up half a step, first of all, our basic support team here at OneVision does a phenomenal job at either solving or de-escalating issues. We talk about a combined solve and de-escalation rate of 96%, which means not that we're solving 96% of issues, but that if even the issues that we're not solving, we are de-escalating. So we're either solving or de-escalating 96%, meaning that if an issue has been de-escalated, that implies that it can be handled during business hours. So it is no longer a night or weekend emergency. So our basic support team does a phenomenal job at dealing with those. But we're not at 100%. There are issues that get through that do require attention from our partners on nights and weekends. And Signal is the mechanism by which we notify them when that's going to happen, or when that has happened, I should say. And ultimately, it's got this rules-based engine in it. So our team, when they're done with a ticket, can just resolve it. And then it's sort of evaluated by Signal to say, hey, does this need follow-up? Is the client on a membership? Has it been deemed as urgent? If so, who's on call? It has a nice drag and drop scheduling interface. So integrators can go in there and build their on-call schedule in a very modern kind of Google Calendar-like interface where you can drag and drop. And then it's got flexible notification methods. So as a technician, if you're on call, you can enter your phone number in there. You can choose to be notified via automated phone call, text, or email to your device of choice. So no more carrying around a second cell phone, all of that. And then the last thing that's really big in there that I like to emphasize is the layers of redundancy. So it's got a primary on-call as well as a backup on-call technician. So, if that notification goes out and you're only person on call, I'm not insinuating anything here. Maybe they had too much to drink. Who knows, right? It happens, okay, to the best of us. And ultimately, maybe they miss it, or for whatever reason, maybe they're dealing with a family emergency. Who knows? You want to have redundancy in that system, right? Particularly if that client is paying for guaranteed response times. So Signal has these layers of redundancy where it'll actually roll to a backup. And then, in fact, I think it almost never happens. But if the primary and the backup both fail to respond, it'll actually roll back to the OneVision team, so we can call the client and say, "Hey, we didn't forget about you. Sit tight." Right. So it's got smart notifications, easy drag and drop scheduling, customizable notification types, and then layers of redundancy. Those are kind of the main things really that make it a compelling solution.
Yeah, so it's just a really important element to all of the other things we've talked about, just within the offering. As long as you're a OneVision platform customer, you're getting this benefit available to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so as not to be too OneVision commercial here, I'll just close by saying, like, whether you're going to go with us or not, like, I think a big takeaway as it relates to Signal is, like I said at the beginning, I think this on-call aspect, these incident response protocols is kind of the jargony term for them. These incident response protocols are something that frequently, I think, gets overlooked. They're not talked about enough. So if you go out in the industry and you research, how to build a service program, you're going to find a fair amount of information about structuring recurring revenue programs and having a ticketing system and all those sorts of things. But a lot of times the incident response protocols get sort of overlooked. So thinking critically about how is your team going to get notified? How are you going to have those layers of redundancy in place? Can you structure a system where the notifications are intelligent enough to not interrupt your team if something can wait until Monday? That's a big quality of life thing for your team. Those sorts of nuances are very real. And when you start to think about building a service program where you're going to be providing clients with a guarantee response time, these things become very, very important.
Well, to wrap up, I guess, today, there was one more news item that came out recently, and it involved the company Vital, run by Matt Bernath, which is really important to this industry, providing management support and leadership and all that. So it's an interesting partnership between Vital and OneVision. Can you just kind of fill us in a little bit on the details and what the two companies are doing together to help improve business performance in the industry?
Yeah. Vital's an awesome group. Would encourage anybody who hasn't taken a look at them before, you're amongst your listeners, to go give them a look. Ultimately, this all started from kind of positive word of mouth. We signed an integrator who happened to be part of Vital. He started telling his friends. Vital does a thing called, I think they call them peer groups. I might be getting that name incorrectly, so fact check me on that one. Okay. But ultimately, they do these peer groups, and basically the word, he started spreading the word, like, hey, go check these guys out. And then that led to kind of both of us hearing, like, we were hearing about Vital, they were hearing about OneVision. So again, credit to Brad, kind of reached out and said, hey, let's start some conversations about how we might be able to work together. And ultimately, in those conversations, it really became abundantly clear at the very beginning that from a high level kind of vision and mission standpoint, we were very, very aligned, right? Providing business solutions for the CI channel to help integrators elevate their business. Then the way we go about that and the specifics of our offerings are obviously quite different. But again, at a high level, the overall mission and goal is very, very well aligned. And so ultimately, yeah, we started by taking a look at that and figuring out, hey, what might we be able to do that would be simple for people to understand and helps elevate the messages of both companies, so that integrators know that we exist and that integrators can benefit from these solutions. And ultimately, that led us to this kind of shared customer program. So integrators that are on our platform get access to a free Vital like coaching session. Those are very high value sessions that they do, where you can sit down, kind of dive into a particular challenge that you're facing in your business with one of their experts on their team, and really unpack it together to figure out, what a strategy would look like going forward. Integrators on the Vital platform, conversely, if they want to join the OneVision platform, will get a discount off of their onboarding fees. So we do, as part of our pricing structure, charge just a one-time onboarding fee to come onto the platform. And if you're a Vital customer, we provide a discount on that. So again, just a simple way to try to promote cross-pollination, because we do believe that if you're an integrator who's working with Vital, that you're probably the type of integrator who would at least be interested in hearing what a company like OneVision is doing, and vice versa, right? So we wanted to make those offerings available for integrators who want to take advantage of them.
Well, it sounds like a great partnership and to like-minded companies for sure, and definitely encourage involvement and participation on both ends of that with our listeners. So thank you so much for filling us in on that and everything else. It's so much that we covered today, and usually don't go an hour, but there was just, we could only do what we could do to get that pared down. There's so much to talk about. So thanks, Jason. Really great talking to you and catching up.
Yeah. It's been a busy time at OneVision, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come on and share all this. So thanks for having me.
Jason Griffing is Director of Product at OneVision Resources. You can learn more about the company at onevisionresources.com. And that wraps up today's show, which was produced by Residential Tech Today, IPW, and Pretty Easy Podcasts. If you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you watched or listened to this episode. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at our magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to the print or digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Thursday email newsletters. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, lighting specialist to Residential Tech Talk.
Home automation device, home or smart house.